PCN is brought to you in part by the following underwriters.
Welcome to PACTV Community News. We're excited to bring you local stories from the South Shore. Tonight we say goodbye to the Mayflower 2 as it leaves for an extended season, and we stop into a different vision, an art show for the visually impaired.
PCN heads to Pembroke Library for their Paint a Pint event. We stop into the Kingston Library for the South Shore Locavores composting series, and we meet up with the Duxbury Police to learn about their crisis intervention team.
Pet Health brings us information on how to deal with barking dogs, and we meet up with the folks at Papa's Pet Project to hear about their efforts to open an additional adoption location.
Town Talk brings Plymouth's assistant town manager to our set, and we begin at the waterfront in Plymouth. In case you haven't heard yet, the town of Plymouth will be celebrating its 400-year anniversary in 2020. One of the centerpieces for the celebration will, of course, be the Mayflower 2. In order to get it ready and looking its best, it'll take the next 30 months to get it fixed up and in ship shape. The 2.5 years worth of repairs will be taking place in Mystic, Connecticut, and we were there as the Mayflower 2 set sail from Plymouth for the shores of the Nutmeg State.
Today is the day that Mayflower 2 leaves for Mystic Seaport in Mystic, Connecticut, where she will be at the Henry B. DuPont Historic Shipyard for the next 30 months, undergoing a full refit to be ready for 2020 and the next 60 years here on the Plymouth waterfront. Today, people can accompany the ship out into the harbor and have a longer farewell with the ship because the Captain John boats have kept the boat in the water longer than usual to provide this service for the guests of Plymouth Plantation.
Because the story of 1620, the Mayflower, is so iconic, as well as the story of Mayflower 2. And we wanted to be able to share the story of Mayflower as we come up to Thanksgiving, that iconic journey she makes from England in 1620, arriving on Cape Cod and then coming here to Plymouth is such a huge part of what we love about Mayflower and what originally inspired Warwick Charlton to build Mayflower 2 in 1955 to 1957. So we wanted to make sure we have both stories represented today.
If you and I could walk around the ship that's behind me, you would find again and again people having an individual relationship with Mayflower 2 and the stories that they're carrying of their memories of the last 60 years. I imagine some of those people were children when she arrived, some of them were adults when she arrived who have memories of it, or memories of maybe being those handful of people who have actually sailed on her over the years. So for some people, it's a long and emotional or even passionate relationship with the ship. For others, it's the opportunity of seeing a tall ship moving under sail.
I hope that people, when they disembark today, they understand or have a more clear vision of what is so special about the Mayflower 2 and why she needs to be preserved so that we can have her here on the State Pier for another 60 years.
Wonderful story, Brian. And I remember as a kid, all kids took a field trip to the Mayflower. And it's just such an iconic part of this landscape. And it's strange that it's going to take 2.5 years to get it into the shape that it needs to be in. But I guess there's a lot of rot on it, and there's a lot of things that have to be rebuilt.
Yeah, I tried to get some details on that, but they didn't know all of them. But yeah, obviously 2.5 years, that's a lot of work. It's a lot of money.
Yeah.
But it's got to look its best for 2020.
Sure does.
Most of us try to do our part for the environment, and I'll admit, I usually feel pretty good about myself when I turn in all my recyclables at the transfer station. Of course, we could always do more. One such way is by composting. And if you think that composting is too much work, we recently met with somebody that showed us not only is composting easy, it's pretty fun too.
Animals are going to try to want to attack your bin and get in there, okay? So we don't want to have.
Tonight we're going to be talking about how you can set up your own compost bin
and how you can get started and all the different stages of composting, from what it looks like at day 1, 2 weeks, 6 months, 8 months, a year, and then finished compost, and how it's a beautiful thing for your garden. Compost is extremely easy. All you have to do is mix together your kitchen scraps, your leaves, and your grass, add a little bit of water, and it turns into beautiful soil. And that soil can be used to hold the right moisture in your garden, and it can hold in enough nutrients. It's actually 3-3-3. When you buy fertilizer in your store, it might be 10-10-10, which can damage the roots of plants. 3-3-3 is the percentages of phosphorus, nitrogen, and potassium in your soil. And a lot of times when you buy a chemical at a garden center, that's the 3 chemicals that are being added to your soil. Compost provides those minerals in an organic sense, in that they're derived from leaves, grass, and fruit scraps, versus when you buy it at a garden center or a big box store, it's actually derived from oil. So it's a chemical, and you really shouldn't be putting a chemical on your soil. You want to do organics. Organics are better for you. There's no chemicals involved. They're better for your health. Compost helps to amend the soil so that it will hold in the right amount of moisture, and it will let your root stock for your plants grow tremendously. And I'll show some roots from a pepper plant that I brought tonight, that the roots are just absolutely massive because the compost has a lot of air spaces in it, and it lets the roots thrive and spread out, so that in times of drought the roots can spread out far. They can reach that moisture that's way down in the soil. So whenever I plant a plant, I dig a couple of shovelfuls deep of the soil that's there. I put in compost. I'll put in a couple shovelfuls of compost, and then I'll put in my tomato plant, for instance, and then I'll actually side dress with compost later in the season to give it a little bit more minerals to get it through August and September and into October.
The Duxbury Police Department has put together a crisis intervention team to deal with families struggling with addiction issues and mental illness. They've partnered with several treatment facilities, including Beth Israel Deaconess, to get this operation off the ground. And we spoke with Sergeant Andrew Homestead to get the full story.
Well, the crisis intervention team, we just started up last year. We help out with individuals with mental illness, as well as any sort of drug or alcohol issues. And it ranges from going out and doing home visits to having people come in and talk to us. We have an outreach effort where we do drop-in centers with Project Outreach down in Plymouth twice a month. And so far it's been very successful since we started up. Since we started, we found out that in a lot of these cases, although we're working with the individual who may have overdosed or is having some sort of a struggle with drugs, alcohol, opiates, whatever it may be, that a huge piece of this is working with the families. They're really struggling with these events, and it's long-term in a lot of cases, and it's really traumatic. So what we do is go out there and try to make these connections and really get them the help and services they need. As time has gone on, the stigma has been reduced, which is great, but we also offer very confidential and discreet services. So they can talk to us over the phone, through email. We'll come out in plain clothes and kind of give them the services that they need. And in these opiate overdose follow-ups, we show up in an unmarked car with one of the different service providers, and we're all wearing plain clothes, and it's very discreet. And so we work to the comfort level of the families and individuals. So we've partnered up with a number of different organizations, such as Gosnell, High Point Treatment Center, Clean Slate, BAMSI, Learn to Cope. So there's a lot of different organizations that are available at our drop-in centers where these individuals come out and they're trained, whether recovery coaches or just treatment providers in general from those organizations, to come out and talk to people and give them the information and hopefully work it so they can come into treatment and as soon as possible. So it kind of streamlines things.
The Friends of Pembroke Library held a Paint a Pint night where many decorative glasses were made. The event was a fundraiser for the Friends of the Pembroke Library, and participants had a lot of creative fun. PCN was there to bring you the story.
The Friends of the Pembroke Library are a group of folks that Pembroke residents who care about their library want to spend time putting the effort into raising funds above and beyond what the town puts in. Okay, so we're able to buy some extra things that the town gets. Tonight is one of our fundraisers. We have here a group of folks who are going to paint their pints. Okay, these pints are lovely glasses. You could put beer in them, or you could put your iced tea in them. We have an artist here who is Christine Sullivan, who is here to assist our painters and do their creations. And so we're looking to bring folks, we always look to bring folks into the library. It's more than just making money, it's also to have people appreciate the resource that they have here in Pembroke. We actually underwrite some of the events like the speakers, the entertainment that the librarians sign up and bring into the library. In addition to that, we purchase museum passes, and the museum passes to things like the aquarium and the Museum of Science and a number of museums that are here in the greater New England area even, because I think we even go as far as Rhode Island. And Pembroke residents can come in and get them for a discounted cost.
This event benefits obviously the Pembroke Public Library, and it's sponsored by the Friends of the Pembroke Public Library. And funds that we raise goes towards things like museum passes, keeping new releases in the library in a timely manner, different activities and technology things that are like new copiers or computer needs, and also different programs like music programs that the library puts on. So we help support those efforts. We also have meetings every quarter, and people are definitely welcome to come. You can sign up as a family or as an individual or as a business here at the library or online. These types of events are always community focused, so whenever you see an event that's going on, there's a book club, there's a movie club, there's a cookbook club, and then we have events, fun events like this. You should definitely try and make it out to these to support the library.
If you've ever been to an art museum, then you know that touching the artwork is not only frowned on, it's strictly forbidden in most cases. Well, what if we told you there was an exciting exhibit where touching the art was actually necessary to appreciate the displays? We found such an exhibit at the Plymouth Center for the Arts with a display called A Different Vision.
A Different Vision is a tactile art show. You can touch the art. Which, as you probably know, is very different from most art shows. So we do it primarily for the sighted impaired, but it's open to everybody.
This show was originally conceived by a person named Honey Weiss, who started this show maybe 7 years ago, 6 or 7 years ago. We do it once every 3 years. So she was a member of the board, and she had the foresight to see this and really produce a wonderful and a unique show for us.
The Plymouth Center for the Arts is committed to the fact that art is for everybody, and that our sighted and that our non-sighted folks should be able to experience art just like sighted people. So we feel this is the most politically responsible show that we do here. We would absolutely suggest to folks that they close their eyes. Maybe walk up to a piece with their eyes open, then touch it. In fact, our judges, that's exactly what they did. Our judges closed their eyes for each piece. And on their judges' comments, you can see where texture was a very important piece of their decision.
This will be here till December 4th. And this is an important place. This is not done in many other places. I think there's been a similar show in Boston. I'm unaware of it happening anyplace else. And so again, come back to our location and our ability to offer a very unique art show and an art experience, in the region. What I want them to take away is how beautiful art is to other senses besides sight. That feeling a cool breeze on a summer day is part of your total experience of that summer day. And it's the same with art. It takes more than just sight to understand the full potential of that art.
And that must have been a really good story to do. there's an awful lot now going on for people that have hearing disabilities and sight disabilities, and that must be just wonderful to someone who's blind, to be able to go in and feel all the and smell the paint and just the atmosphere must be so nice.
It was funny because it was really nothing new for the people that are visually impaired. You know, when you look around, there were some people that were visually impaired. Obviously, they're touching everything. It was the people that weren't. And so I'm there with the camera. I'm like, hey, could you just move in, just put your hands on that, just touch it. Like, oh, I don't know, but you're actually. And I'm like, you're supposed to touch it. Yeah. Just go ahead. So it was really cool. It was cool to see just people's reaction. We're so used to not being able to touch anything in the art museum. Don't go near it. This one, like, we're really encouraging people to. And to touch the stuff, it was almost, and that's how they judged it, was the different textures that you felt. So you'd feel something. There was so many different grooves on it. Yeah. It was really awesome. I was impressed. I left there really impressed.
Very good.
Papa's Pet Project, who adopts cats out of PetSmart in Plymouth, is about to open an additional location in Manomet. This nonprofit organization focuses on helping to improve the lives of homeless pets. We stopped into their Halloween event last month to learn more about them and the amazing work that they do for animals.
My name is Catherine Aida. I founded Papa's Pet Project in 2009 with the purpose of helping the homeless animals in our area. I work with the Plymouth Animal Shelter with the cats, and we also try and find homes for the dogs, especially senior dogs and senior cats. We rescue kittens so that they're never in the shelter. Today is our grand opening of the Papa's Pet Project Pet Supply Store. It's a nonprofit organization, and people are coming with their pets to our photo event, to the Halloween photo event. So they're coming with costumes, as I'm looking at right now, the most adorable costumes.
I came to get our photo done and all dressed up and help out for the cats. They do a lot of really good things for the community.
Kids enjoyed face painting and looking at kittens. Pets not in costume were able to have their pictures taken surrounded by Halloween-themed scenes.
On the other side of the partition, we have just a nice little safe area, still decorated for the dogs to have their photos, so that it's a little quieter and they don't get freaked out. But yeah, we collect them over the years and try and think of themes and then decorate to tell a story.
People love to have their pets decorated for different occasions.
The pet photo event doubled as a fundraiser for the Animal Care Fund, in a way for organizers and volunteers to introduce the center to the community.
I'm so happy that it's here because we have so many unwanted cats and kittens. Having one central location where they can come to talk about their cat's needs is so important.
I got the idea of having Halloween pet photos and Christmas pet photos, and honestly I would like to have Mother's Day pet photos and Valentine's Day pet photos, and I'm just hoping to do this for every holiday.
Pet Health segment takes us to Court Street Animal Hospital for helpful tips on dealing with barking dogs.
Hi, I'm Norm Stillman from the Court Street Animal Hospital here for PCN's Pet Health segment. I thought this time we would talk a little bit about barking dogs and whether there's anything that you can do or should do about that. People ask me all the time how to get their dog to stop barking, and the first thing they should remember is that barking is a very natural behavior for a dog. Every dog wants to bark, and they kind of see it as their job to alert you when strangers come to the door or when a truck pulls in the driveway. So it's not a good idea to punish them for that. They're doing what they think is their most important job, and you know, they want to protect you and their household. That being said, sometimes it's very inconvenient when a dog is barking all the time. People frequently ask me about whether or not there are certain types of collars that can dissuade a dog from barking. I think there's two of them that I'm aware of. One of them is a collar that administers a little shock when the dog is barking. Not ideal, of course. The other type is similar, except instead of a shock, there's a little device right underneath the collar here, and when the dog is barking, it shoots a little jet of citronella onto the underside of her chin and distracts her and stops her from barking. Both these things, I think, work pretty well. I've administered the shock to myself before to see how bad it is. It's not terrible, but I think most dogs will take 2 or 3 shocks or 2 or 3 puffs of citronella, and after that, they won't bark anymore. You can leave the collar on them turned off, and they'll just maintain quiet even if the device is turned off. And I think that's a pretty good way to go. So if you're at risk of losing your lease, or if your neighbors are complaining all the time, I think that's a reasonable alternative. There is a surgery that some of you may be aware of called a debarking procedure, which I think is a terrible surgery, an unethical procedure, and I would not recommend that to anybody, regardless of how much their dog barks. There's better ways, and probably getting a behaviorist involved in that point is a much better route. Thanks so much for giving me the opportunity to tell you about that. I'll look forward to seeing you next time.
Town Talk today brings Plymouth's Assistant Town Manager Derek Brindisi to the set with us. Welcome back.
Thank you.
The second time we've had you here.
Absolutely.
That's great. Lots of things to talk about. Let's start with, now that the election is over, but I want to talk about early voting. Tell me how that went in Plymouth.
So we didn't know what to expect with early voting. The town clerk, Larry Pizer, he organizes all our elections each and every year. And we saw a great turnout for early voting in the first 2 weeks. In the first 3 days, we already had over 2,000 folks who had already voted. So I believe at the end of the early voting, which was a 2-week period, primarily the early voting was held at Town Hall. We had a couple days at the Manamet Branch Library, but we had about 20% of our registered voters who had turned out during the early voting, which will help during Election Day.
Sure.
Those very long lines, especially during a presidential campaign.
Sure, and the other town managers from the other towns we cover, they've all said that not only was it as successful as yours, but the residents really appreciated it because it was very calm, and it was almost a social event.
There was so many people when I was walking through Town Hall who had come up to me and said, "We love this early voting."
Yeah.
It was very convenient for them. They didn't have to rush to the polls on Election Day. So yeah, definitely going to do it next year and future years to come. Absolutely.
Excellent. That's great. All right. Let's talk about the sewer project. I know that's really exciting. Where are we on that?
Yeah, well, many folks want to know what's happening
Yep.
with the sewer project.
Yeah.
As we all know, we had many ruptures in our forced sewer main back in December. It started. Currently, as of this week, we are in the process. We had already installed the new slip line force main. So basically, we put a slip line in the old main that had ruptured.
Yep.
That is now being filled with water. They're going to do a pressure test this week. We believe once it passes the pressure test, we'll be able to connect this and then remove the bypass, which is costing us a lot of money each and every month to rent this bypass.
Right.
So once we get this new line this new main back online, we can remove the old bypass, and then we'll go forward and we'll start to construct the secondary line, the redundant line that we had never had before. And if we had a redundant line a year ago, we would have been able to avert some of these costs that we don't have today. So the project is moving forward. Actually, it's on time. Things are moving very well.
Excellent. Okay. You want to encourage people to go to the town website because there's openings on committees and boards, and talk about that.
Yeah, so we're always having lots of turnover with our volunteer boards and committees.
Right.
Many people spend many years doing this work, and after a while they resign or their term has come up. So this year we're really expecting and we're hoping and encouraging folks to go to the website where they can see something that they're interested in. Maybe there's a board or a specific committee that they're interested in serving the town of Plymouth. So we'd ask them to do just that. But in particular, the Plymouth Cultural Council is actively looking for new committee members.
Right.
They have a lot of great work in front of them. They issue mini grants each and every year.
Right.
And so they're really trying to get out there and try to encourage new members.
Okay. The Plymouth Cultural Council especially. Okay.
Yes.
The America's Hometown Celebration also known as the Thanksgiving Day Parade, which is not held on Thanksgiving Day, will be held when?
It's going to be this year on Saturday, November 19th. They're, again, the committee's putting together a number of events and festivities. As you know, the big parade is highly sought after. In fact, someone told me it's the second largest Thanksgiving Day parade now in the country. So we expect a huge turnout. Police, fire, EMS have all come together, and they've coordinated another great event to make sure that everyone's safe and protected during this event.
And we will be covering it live on PACTV, and we'll be streaming it all over the country. So we're really, really happy to do that every year, too.
Great.
Okay. And the last one we want to talk about is the Sims House.
Sims House, again, another big project that was discussed. It was voted at the fall town meeting of 2015. There was a lot of negotiations that had to take place before we can go to construction, but we are very happy to say that construction has started about a month ago. The crews are out there actively working. If you drive past the Sim House in the Manaman community, we're hoping to have a completion date this May or April time period of 2017. So
next summer it should be open. And what is it, a historical building?
It's a historical building now, but the way the new use of the building is going to be on the third. We'll start from the top to the bottom. The third floor is going to be 2 affordable housing units. I believe they're about 1 bedroom each. So on the top floor we'll have that. We're putting in a brand new elevator that's going to go from the first floor to the third floor. The second floor is going to have 4 business suites. So we hope to bring in tenants that maybe like a law firm or something that just needs small office space. And then the first floor is really going to be kind of the community gathering space. It's got an open floor plan. We hope to have a kitchen in about a year from now where folks from the community can use that space for various types of activities.
Oh, that's excellent.
So it's going to be, it's a beautiful building, and it's great to see it being preserved.
Excellent.
Absolutely.
Okay, lots going on as always in Plymouth.
Absolutely.
Thank you for joining us.
Me. Appreciate
it. And thanks for watching. Replay times and links can be found at our website, pactv.org, or you can watch full episodes at PACTV Prime, our new channel on our website. PCN is also on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter, so be sure to check us out there. See you next week for more PCN and a new PCN Life. Have a great week.